So, hello Bev. How you feeling?
I'm not going to lie, I'm actually really nervous, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's a nice audience though. Nice.
Some of them.
Yes, sarcasm. I love it. So, Bev, as I said, we're going to chat about you and your life and what was good in it and what was challenging and what could be better. But just to help sort of set a scene, set a context, I was wondering if you could just tell us a wee bit to begin with about your life before care and what kind of led up to you being formally looked after.
Well, I first got involved with social work at the age of 6 after a breakdown within the family setting. That led me being a looked after child at home, and then on to kinship care when my mum took no well and couldn't look after me no more, and then back into the family setting to looked after at home, then into residential, and then down to Ross Young People's Trust where I ended up in secure, and now into my own accommodation.
Yeah. And just to help sort of break that up a little bit, so a lot of that experience was right up into the age of about 17. When you were so that's most of your childhood, most of your sort of teenage years as well. Can I ask just a little bit? One thing we were talking about was the idea that you weren't even fully aware you were looked after until it was moved into that more traditional idea of what care is in the residential unit. Can I ask, what was that first sort of experience going into residential care like for you?
It's confusing. It's scary. You're in with people you don't know. You're away from your family. I wouldn't wish it upon any young person, but it does help.
Sure. But certainly something new. And throughout your whole experience, there was a lot of challenges going on. And just like David was saying, a lot of stuff happening at the same time and all sort of coming together, which resulted in a lot of placement moves. One thing, obviously, we're talking to a lot of teachers today. So, can I ask, how did all these different placement moves in different care settings impact on your education?
Well, with all the placement moves meant loads of different placement moves for education as well. Being within 3 primary schools, Highfield Primary in Lossiemouth, Central Primary School in Peterhead, and St Gerdine's Primary in Lossiemouth. Also been with Lossie High, then on to Peterhead Academy, Mintla Academy, back to Lossie High where I was involved with Pinefield Park, then on to Rossie where they had their education within the campus, and then back up to then going on to college for 2 years.
That's right. And one thing we've been speaking about is this sort of statistic that revolves around education and care, that the more placement moves a young person has, the more negative their educational outcomes are. It has an impact, and they tend to go down. And one of the things we were talking about is how that might have a lot to do with relationships. Could you tell us a little bit just about like the challenges or what it was like trying to make friends with your peers, like people you same age to, and also teachers?
Every placement move meant that I had to make new relationships with teachers and peers. That I really struggled with towards the end of primary 7. I ended up getting in quite a bit of trouble in primary 7 that got me expelled, excluded me from my peers that I was going to high school with. And then on to Lossie High first year, and I felt like I didn't have the chance to build relationships up for going into first year. I was always in trouble first year, always, but I made quite a few good relationships with teachers. One in particular, Mr. Carthew, is here today. He used to always fight for me. If it hadn't been for Mr. Carthew, I would have been expelled from Lossie High because of my behaviour problems. If it hadn't been for Mr. Carthew, I wouldn't have got to do Pinefield Park. And
Can you tell us a little bit more about Pinefield Park?
Pinefield Park is a outreach school for troubled young people. Luckily, I managed to get Pinefield Park to come out to Lossy High to teach me. It wasn't much. 4 hours a week I got of education. It was 2 hours of maths and 2 hours of English a week, and that's all I was getting. But it was something. And
one of the things you mentioned before was the feeling that you had when a lot of your pals and other people are going to sort of mainstream, as it were, education. Can you tell us a little bit about that feeling?
that made me feel different from my peers because I wasn't in a classroom setting, I was one-to-one. That's when I started getting anxiety with crowds. It just made me feel different, like I wasn't a normal person in normal education.
And one of the things, as an organisation, as Cares, we spent a lot of time talking about this notion of care ID, which is something you talked about quite a lot as well, but just this idea that being care experience isn't necessarily something that people should feel ashamed of. It's not something that should be hidden away, and in a lot of other senses, the first step in improving outcomes is people being able to own that. But a lot of stuff gets in the way of that, doesn't it? Like there's a reason that people feel that care experience people might feel that that's not something they want to talk about or they want people to know about. You kind of touched on that with the experience of feeling different, being that powerful. Was there anything else that got in the way and sort of impacted on your care idea as well?
Well, being a looked after child and involved with social work meant I had panels to go to, I had LAC reviews to go to, and then with having mental health as well as behaviour problems, I had psychiatric nurses to go to, doctors to go to. But this was all during school hours. This meant taking me out of my education and putting me in a setting I didn't want to be in. Like, if I was going to a panel, yeah, it could have been in the morning, I could have been out of school for a maximum of an hour. I could be going to my panel and not getting the result I wanted. So my head wouldn't be with school the rest of the day, and I just want to go home. Because really, when you go to a panel, it's not just what's happened that day, it's what's happened your whole entire life. And it's not fair to take a young person out of education and put them in that setting when they should be in education.
Mm-hmm. And that's certainly something that's quite a common experience and a very difficult one. So we've talked a lot about a lot of challenges going on and happening at the same time. But what we also know from just me and you chatting, we also know that there were times when it worked.
Yeah.
When education was good and things were positive. We kind of touched on a little bit with Mr. Karki.
I would like to go back to that bit.
Sorry?
I would like to go back to that bit.
Yeah, please.
I always remember him in first year. Don't hide Mr. Carfew. Always remember him in first year. He was always like, Beverly, I'm always on your back. You're always in this timeout. You're always here with me. You're always getting excluded. I'm always on your case about something, Bev. He's like, but I come across a scary person, but really, I'm just a big teddy bear at heart. And he is. Look at him. He's just a big teddy bear. He is. He's so friendly, and he's just. I don't know. He's just Mr. Carfew.
So there was that relationship, which obviously has lasted as well, and
yeah.
sort of seemed to being reunited. It was really lovely, obviously, and there was a lot of nice chat. Were there any other professionals or people in schools as well, in particular, that were positive and had a good impact?
I had a really good relationship with all the education staff at Rossi. Mm-hmm. It was a stable environment for me. It was just, you didn't go into education and they didn't turn in and say, right, you have to do this, this, this and this. I went into education and they were like, right, Bev, what's your interests? And I'm like, well, I like Celtic. Celtic's my team. So they thought, well, yeah, but we can work around that. So in woodwork, I managed to make two Celtic tables. That allowed me to be creative with my own ideas, my own interests. In English, I got to write an essay that met the criteria for my standard grade portfolio. I got to write an essay on Celtic Football Club. In history, even though, God bless him, my history teacher was a Rangers fan, right? God bless him, but he did. He let me do a topic on the IRA because I was interested in it. I felt learning in Rossi was a lot more easier, considering I went into Rossi only doing maths and English, and I came out with pages and pages of qualifications, including a 4 in maths, a 4 in English, a B in hospitality. I was close to getting a higher in woodwork, but the computer broke, so I couldn't do my graphics. I came out with loads of int 1s, loads of int 2s. They fully pushed me to my potential.
One of the things she asked me to do was, it was like, can we put my qualifications up on the slideshow? And she handed me this massive document from the SQA, which was unfortunately too much to be able to fit onto one slide, so we just thought we'd list them. But we certainly left school with a lot of qualifications, so which is really amazing. To help sort of bring out up to just so that's who Bev was when she was in school, and obviously she's been out of school for a little while now. Can you tell us just a little bit about what's happened sort of since leaving Rossi, coming back to Moray, and what you're up to these days?
Well, last year I've done nothing but volunteering for Who Cares Scotland.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's involved helping out with the Moray group. That's a group where young people with care experience can meet up on a monthly basis and do activities. I'd helped cook their Christmas dinner. I've been helping with the Champions Board, both Moray and Inverness. I'd done an input at level 3 corporate parent just a few weeks ago on my care journey. I got a shadow Lawrence. Yeah, that was fun. I got pictures taken with corporate parents, like the police that I used to always be in trouble with, and I'm sitting getting pictures with them.
And they offered you a job, did they not?
Yeah, I got offered to do a 6-month voluntary placement with them. That was the day that I shadowed Lawrence up at Moray College. Following that was National Care Day. Following that, I managed to make the Northern Scot front page twice, literally 1 week after the other. As well as working in the Mansion House here as a waitress at functions, I also went for an interview yesterday with Who Cares. Got out the interview literally 20 minutes and got a phone call offering me the job. Yeah. So I'm now.
I think we essentially realised we couldn't stop asking you to do all this for free.
So then, yeah. So now I'm going to be starting working with Who Cares in April. So roll on.
And one of your biggest projects that you've got coming for that is the Moray Champions Board as well, which Lawrence mentioned. That's soon, isn't it? What's the timescale for it?
We're hoping to get the Champions Board in Moray launched in October. So it's not that long away. It's our chance to get change.
That's the one. Bev, thank you so much for talking to everybody today. I'm sure everyone will join me in saying thank you for your input, which was amazing. Yeah. And I'll shuffle to the side because I know the final slides here is your key asks, which is, if anything, there's a lot of your story there, and there's so much Bev to know and so much more so much more to hear. But if anything, if people had a few things to take away with them, what would they be, Bev?
Relationships matters. Like I said before, there was only a few professionals in my life that actually made a difference like Mr. Curfew. He knew what was going on and how to help. I trusted him. To prioritise our education. Don't let us fall through the gaps. Education was important in my life and is important in every young person's life. But life gets in the way, such as panels, doctor's appointments, meetings that'll make young people miss education. You guys can challenge that. And I don't know if you can see or not. Let's just stand up so you can see it. As my jumper says, listen, please listen.